the Brabham name obviously continued racing well after you retired, with your three sons getting involved, and I guess now with Matthew coming on board now as a CAMS rising star in Formula Ford, that must also be a great thrill for you to see the Brabham name live on like that.
Yeah, it's not going to go away. People are not going to be able to forget it, are they?
No. Which is a good thing.
Well, yeah, actually, Matthew's racing really is a good indication of how people could start motor racing today, really. Go-karts definitely the way to go, really, because it's not so expensive and it's really good training. It was more like me on the Speedway, if you like, was a similar sort of thing. The Speedway taught me a lot. And go-karts teach kids a lot. So, I've got a grandson now that's done, he's been racing since he was 7 years of age. 7. And he's now 16 and just starting in Formula Ford. He had a very successful go-kart era. He won 4 state championships, and I'm sure he's going to go a long way. So that was a really good starting point for drivers today. There's really no other way of starting.
And as you say, it gives younger drivers a chance to develop those skills that will ultimately take them to the pinnacle of the sport if they choose to.
Yeah, well, I think most of the Formula One drivers today all came through go-karts. That's where they started.
And I suppose just looking at the current era, looking at what Mark Webber's doing at the moment, what's your thoughts on his season to date? Has he got what it takes to win the championship?
Well, he's certainly proved himself as a driver. There's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, Mark over the years hasn't had the luck behind him that he should have had, because he's always been struggling to get the right car.
Yeah.
And it's really only this year that he's, in my opinion, he's got the right car. It's been a long time. But now, of course, he's got some competition too. There's some pretty good young drivers out there, and it's not going to be easy.
And you're right, I think it's going to be an enormous challenge for the rest of the year to see what he can do. As you say, he has certainly got the best car around him at the moment.
British Grand Prix wasn't bad, was it?
British Grand Prix was pretty good. It was pretty good. Because I must admit, after I'd seen him have that crash, I wasn't sure how he'd bounce back from that.
It didn't affect him, did it?
And that really surprised me. I thought he might have been rattled a bit, but I actually was also impressed. I thought the courage he showed on turn 1 with Vettel virtually side by side with him. He didn't yield when he probably could have, but he didn't. He held his line and took the lead.
Absolutely, yeah.
One thing I wanted to also talk to you about, Sir Jack, was Indianapolis, because again that would have been very different from what was happening in the Formula One scene at the time. But again, a different discipline. But again, once again, you brought something to that race that had never been done before.
Yeah, well, I was really the first one in a rear-engine motor car in Formula One. And then, of course, Indianapolis was always something in the background and something you should do. Not that I enjoyed or wanted to go there, really. But I got the opportunity and went there and taken the rear-engine car there. And now every motor car there is rear-engine, so it must have been the right idea, mustn't it?
It was on the right track.
Definitely on the right track, yeah. And for many years, actually, after the first one, the first race, I used to go over there, and the team owners really got into me because I cost them a fortune. They had to throw everything they had away and start again.
Because it's all different.
Yeah. So anyway, it's all rear-engine cars now, and Formula One's all rear-engine cars, so must have been a pretty good idea, mustn't it?
I think so. Just very quickly a couple of final questions. If there was a favourite circuit, what would that be for you?
Well, I had several favourite circuits. I don't know one particularly. The hardest one and the biggest challenge was the Nürburgring, and being able to win the Grand Prix there was a fantastic satisfaction to me, because it was a very, very difficult circuit to drive. And we're a little circuit, Brands Hatch in England, which was a fun track to drive on, and you had to win. You had to be pretty good anyway. And that was a fantastic little circuit to drive on. Really, it was really basically a club circuit. It wasn't even a Grand Prix track, although we did have Grand Prix there on a couple of occasions. And I managed to win the Grand Prix there too.
Sir Jack, it's been an absolute honour to have you on the program today. It's been a real thrill to speak to you, and I want to thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining me on Motor Talk.
Okay, Russell.
Thank you.